one, as trainers, we can create an impact with this younger generation?
Gen Z has a different temperament. They were born in a different era.
A lot of the time people actually say to me that what you're training us about is what you should be training our bosses.
South African trainer जिसका intent leadership की वो बात करते हैं. Now he introduced a very interesting concept in one of his trainings where he gets you to write down the answer to the following two questions.
अगर बुल्ले शाह की बात करें तो people are not so willing to listen. Why is that, do you think?
Because the classical literature is very dense and obviously it takes effort.
Welcome to The Boss. I'm Amer Qureshi. Thank you very much for joining us. Today on The Boss, we are joined by someone who has played a pivotal role in shaping the learning and development landscape in Pakistan. Kamran Rizvi is a leadership development expert. He has worked in Pakistan for more than 3 decades and contributed to the success of many organizations. He's worked with leaders, young professionals all over Pakistan. And he continues to mentor and coach young people through his initiatives such as the School of Leadership. He's had a tremendous career in Pakistan and made an enormous contribution to the learning and development landscape. I'm really looking forward to this conversation with Kamran and see what we can learn from him about life, about learning and development, and ask him why training does not always deliver the results that people expect. We'll also talk to him about the so-called soft skills, why they are so important in your career success. So join me in this amazing conversation that we're about to have with Kamran Rizvi. On today's episode, I am joined by Kamran Rizvi. And I've already told you about him, so let's jump right into the conversation. Kamran, welcome to The Boss.
Thank you for having me, Amir. It's so good to meet you after a long time.
It's always a pleasure actually to catch up with you, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
I'm dreading it, but let's go with it.
Let's go back to the start. Agar hum jaye, when you actually first got into this training and development business, I suppose, 1990s I tend to recall.
Yes.
Bahut time guzar gaya hai. You still look young. But
Thank you.
What were things like back then in the 90s? Training and development wasn't really taken that seriously back then.
91 is precisely when I got into L&D in Pakistan. And I must say that at that time, civil society was not acquainted with training. यानी कि यहाँ पर जो अवाम है उसको ट्रेनिंग और डेवलपमेंट से इतना लगाव नहीं था, और जो मल्टीनेशनल कंपनीज थी, namely at that time Lever Brothers, now Unilever,
Yes.
and companies like that, they would engage external resources from Europe or America for training on subjects like communication, presentation, leadership, etc. Because the concept was कि हमें पाकिस्तान में communication और presentation और leadership कैसे कोई सिखा सकता है. हाँ, I mean civil society के अलावा अगर आप देखें तो bureaucracy में, so there is of course an arrangement where you have the National Management College, and
Yes.
so the bureaucrats are well taken care of, and armed forces में कमाल की training होती है. But when it came to the civil end of the spectrum, I found that was again being done in pockets as opposed to across the board with youth from different communities, organizations, academia. And training also was viewed as a luxury or something to motivate people. जाओ
Yes.
फला होटल में कोर्स हो रहा है,
उधर attend कर लो.
अटेंड कर लो, 2 दिन की एक तरह की छुट्टी है. That kind of a sense.
लेकिन
used to
I'm also interested to know कि आपकी background तो as a trainer या training and development professional नहीं थी. I think you worked in a bank, in fact,
Yes.
BCCI, if I remember. So what encouraged you or motivated you to become a trainer?
Now that's a dangerous question because I can go on and on and on.
Okay, let's.
However, I will try to be brief, and I'll say that BCCI, the bank that I worked with, was driven largely by a philosophy that was highly inspiring. And I was in the bank not by choice but by chance. It was just that I had to get into work because I wasn't interested in studies. O levels के A levels के घर वाले भी तंग आए हुए थे, तो उन्होंने कहा कि बेटा तुम जॉब कर लो. So I just got into the bank as a result. And I discovered what banking, commercial banking is as I was learning. And Abu Dhabi mein maine shuru kiya tha.
Okay.
I
Yes.
didn't know the language, didn't know the industry. And as an MTO, A levels,
Straight from A levels to
straight from a MTO with graduates. There were about in my batch 12. और मुझे बहुत मुश्किल होती थी coping with the kind of content that was being taught at that time within the training academy. तो अब वहाँ पर मुझे इतना तो याद है कि there were two aspects to it, transactional aspects and interactional aspects. And banking, like hospitality and other service-sensitive industries, require a lot of interpersonal skills.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
I found later in my career that what used to excite me about working in the bank was not the transactions, but it was the interactions I had with different cultures, different people from different economic backgrounds. And as a result, I discovered that I like to help people, enable them, coach them, guide them. And I was a natural counselor of sorts. And then at some point in 1981, I attended a course with the Dale Carnegie organization, again pushed into it as opposed to choosing
Yes.
or opting for it. And I found that my thinking shifted. I mean, the course was like any course. I mean, positive attitude, human relations, how to conduct effective meetings, that kind of stuff. Nothing outlandish or exceptional. But I tell you, for me, I stepped out of my unipolar mind into a multilateral mind. I started to view people as having opinions different from my own and that they are making sense if I listen to them. Because other than before that, I used to be very much कि यार क्या बकवास कर रहा है, ठीक है? तो उधर से मुझे ये अंदाजा हुआ कि training makes an impact, and I found my career graph was shooting up because of that course. I was involved in meetings, I was invited to conferences within the bank, and when I came to Pakistan, and that's another story, but when I came here, the natural because now I was out of banking. So what is the next thing I want to do? So my mentor, Salman Ansari at that time, said, why don't you get into training?
And that's how it started.
And by chance, I just started. I didn't know anything about the industry here, the market, the culture. 20 साल के बाद तो मैं वापस आया था ना.
So 20 years abroad and then coming back to Pakistan.
और बीच में छुट्टियों पे जो आते हैं, that's romance. I mean, you don't really know the challenges that you really have to face in the country. But उसके बाद से, the day I stepped into this role of training, that's the day, and today, I mean, I've never regretted it. It's been an exciting experience. And I loved the early 3 years because it was, explaining how training can make a difference. And people would question the very value of this whole process.
अभी आपने जो 2-3 चीज़ें बड़ी important बताई हैं, the value of interpersonal skills, for example. And for some reason, Pakistan में we refer to them as so-called soft skills. Why do we discount these things and call them soft skills as if they didn't matter? Yet you've just highlighted how important they were in shaping your own career. Why do you think that is?
You know, when I look at the example of, let's say, a CEO of a major conglomerate, and Jack Welch is well known. I mean, he's not my hero, but I would say that as a company, GE did a great job.
Absolutely.
I mean, they were in medical equipment, they were in jet engines, they were having 380,000 employees in 120 countries. One of the most admired organizations at the time. And Jack Welch was asked, I mean, how can such a diverse cultural and functional and so many verticals, so different from each other, you know, from financial services to medical equipment to chemicals to plastics, how can you align human energy in such a complex arrangement? And he said something very simple. In the culture, something that resonates with every culture is what you need to focus on: voice and dignity. If people are unafraid and express their opinions, which they feel will benefit the organization, and they actually communicate that and feel valued and respected within the system, that's something which is common to every culture. And we just focus on these two things in such a complex and a diverse setting. So I discovered that interpersonal skills are critical because they serve the culture itself of the organization. And if the culture ain't right, then strategy doesn't get
Nothing
achieved.
else works.
Nothing works.
A lot of conversation these days happens, especially when we're talking to CEOs and stuff. They want to see what value training brings,
Yes.
how it's going to impact. Is it something that can actually be measured? And why are so many training sessions generally a waste of time other than, a nice lunch and an outing for the staff?
As far as impact assessment is concerned, there is a lot of subjectivity in it, and also there are some metrics that you can use. Kirkpatrick model is just one example where you can methodically see the inputs and the impact that it's had. And if you start off with certain people from a target group and have key measures in terms of productivity, efficiency, and attendance and whatever else, then those serve as a measure, if you go back to them pre and post, in terms of how much of the shift has occurred due to training and how much of the shift has occurred due to better supervision.
Yeah.
And at times, environment also has a huge role
I'm
to
sure,
play.
yes.
I mean, in sales, for example, yes, the metrics are very clear. How much revenue did you bring in? But there again, which market are you in? Now, if your market was a tough one and the competition was severe, and yet you were able to meet the target, which may not have met the company's overall budget, but at least you achieved 70% in a tough situation, compared to someone who achieves 100%
In an
in
easier
an
market.
easier market where there's already a pull for the product or service, then obviously you're talking subjectivity and metrics. So the desire to measure must continue, and at the same time one must also allow for a lot of variables that are at play.
Yes.
But to say that training doesn't have an impact is almost like saying you can't train dogs, you can't train horses, you can't train monkeys. Of course they can be trained. Look at them.
Yes, there's some amazing dogs, actually. and
So
some
if
amazing-
animals can be trained and we see the impact, I wonder what's wrong with humans.
But you find that, and you've been doing this for a long time, that training is often seen as a one-time event by many of the Pakistani companies. Everyone gets together, it could be a 2-day, 3-day thing, a trainer, and there are some very good trainers in Pakistan, apart from people like us, I'm sure. They come along and then nothing sort of changes. Is it because companies are not paying enough attention to the sorts of factors you talked about or the culture? Because training is not all in all. There's many more things to worry about.
I think to say that nothing actually changes would not be fair.
Okay.
But the changes that occur could be counterproductive or highly aligned. So I'll give you an example. If a company puts people through a training on empowerment, where people are bold and they're decisive, and the culture is hostile to that,
Yes.
then what you're doing is you're creating a lot of frustration within the system, and you will have attrition as a result. Change happens,
Yes.
but it's in a different
It's
direction.
a different type of change than what you
So
were.
the trainer's job really ought to be that the quality of the training, the content of the training must be aligned with the environment so that the benefits are directly accrued by the business in a manner where it's culturally appropriate. It is often at times, when you try to transpose a tool or a technique in a system which is not friendly to the
Yes.
idea that you're sharing, then you're causing a lot of grief for the participant himself or herself. So I think if you align yourself with the ground reality, do your TNA and organizational assessment and see what is the expectation and how does it look like. And once you're clear on that, then you want to train according to the system you're in. So if you're training soldiers, for example, your approach has to be with that in mind,
Yes.
as opposed to in a commercial organization, which is a monopoly, dominant, and they are more interested in consistency than in creativity.
Yes,
Now,
exactly.
if you go into a bank, which depends a lot on processes and consistency, and you start telling them about innovation and how to break the rules and make
It's not
headway,
going to
and
work.
it can cause a bit of dissonance.
Yes.
So I think it's really about diagnostics and getting your content to fit the organization, the industry, and the culture.
Yeah, and matching the training to, as you've said, the needs of the organization, keeping the whole overall context in mind. Yeah.
And as you know, the CEOs in general or owners of the business, they set the tone anyway.
Yes.
So if it's a top-down culture, then rather than trying to teach assertiveness, I think one would be better off teaching cooperation and how to listen better and how to question in a respectful manner.
I think that's probably the sort of training that most Pakistani companies would need, because
Absolutely.
it is very much a top-down situation. In fact, a lot of the time people actually say to me that what you're training us about is what you should be training our bosses for, but sometimes you don't get the opportunity to work.
ये है बिल्कुल ऐसा है कि सर आप हमें सिखा रहे हैं, हमारे बड़ों को भी तो सिखाएं. तो मैं कहता हूँ कि जिससे भी बात करता हूँ वो कहते हैं हमारे बड़ों को सिखाएं, तो ये रुकता कहाँ है?
Plus, one thing that I often say is that eventually you're also going to become one of the badas.
Of course.
So we cannot perhaps change the current जो है generation of badas, but at least by the time you get to that level, we hope that you will be different.
इस पे मुझे एक बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग ख्याल याद आ रहा है कि ये जो आपने नुक्ता उठाया. If you remember S2E04, a South African trainer जिसका intent leadership की वो बात करते हैं. Now he introduced a very interesting concept in one of his trainings where he gets you to write down the answer to the following two questions. What do you expect from your boss? And people fill the sheet. What do you expect from your subordinates? People fill the sheet with their wish list. And then once that's done, he says, do for your subordinates what you expect from your boss. And do for your boss what you expect from your subordinates. And I tell you, in 5 minutes, you can achieve so much.
That's actually very good.
It's a tool that I want your listeners to apply in your own setup. Yes. It's very, very unique, and it's very, क्या कहते हैं, indigenous to the company itself.
Exactly. It's very specific to that organization and to you and your team and your boss and so on. That's a wonderful example. Thank you very much for sharing.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Training के हवाले से जब बात करते हैं तो in recent times, obviously every industry evolves and changes. Training के साथ-साथ पाकिस्तान में भी internationally, there's a lot of emphasis on coaching and mentoring.
Of course.
And every second person I meet has become a coach of some sort. कोई personal coach है, कोई fitness coach.
My son is my coach, by the way.
Oh, okay. Yes. Well, I hope he gets paid well.
No, I don't compensate him at all.
That's a tough gig.
Anyway.
So coaching and mentoring के बारे में आपका क्या ख्याल है? Is it something which is useful, or is it being utilized properly, especially in Pakistan?
Interesting that you ask this, because often these terms, coaching, mentoring, counseling, get mixed up. And I would like to view these topics from the lens of formal and informal.
Okay.
I find that informally there has been mentoring going on. Maybe the label was not mentoring.
Yes.
And coaching has also been going on. Maybe the label wasn't assigned to it.
Yes.
Because बड़ा जब छोटे को कुछ सिखा रहा होता है,
It is exactly that.
वो कोचिंग कर रहा है, उसको शायद पता भी नहीं है कि वो कोचिंग कर रहा है.
Yes.
वो तो सिखा रहा है. तो I find that the informal value is known. कि जितनी भी बड़ी businesses आज हैं, जो मालकान थे उन्होंने अपने बच्चों को सिखाया, उनको रास्ता दिखाया, और साथ ही साथ उनको empower भी किया. तो कोचिंग उस लिहाज से तो हो रही थी.
Yes.
अब ये है कि formalized coaching, particularly by external resources like you, myself, and so many others who have come in, is also having its value, because there's no axe to grind. I mean, there's independence of thought. You're looking at a situation where a person wants to achieve a goal, is looking for ways of how to. And if you look at coaching and mentoring is, I think, more to do with life.
Yes.
And overall, I mean, उसमें आपके career भी आ सकता है, family भी आ सकती है, community भी है, social
Yes.
and personal issues भी हो सकते हैं. And trust is the key to success in both. And acceptability. So whenever I'm asked, for instance, कि Mr. Rizvi, could you coach so and so? मैं कहता हूँ, can I meet so and so? And if the so and so after meeting me decides to coach with me, then we'll have the sessions going. And mentoring का भी यही है. And I've often found कि ये जो इदारे हैं, they launch formal mentoring programs.
Yes.
And they have a panel of seniors who offer themselves, and उनके नाम आ जाते हैं. I say, please don't do that, because by so doing, you'll find that people will gravitate to the ones that they would like to be mentored by.
Yes.
Can you imagine if there were 8 people on the panel and 4 never had any request? I mean, they were suffering from self-esteem issues from before.
Exactly.
That'll be magnified.
Yes.
So let the mentee choose the mentor. And it's not just seniors. आजकल के दौर में Gen Z, Gen Alpha की हम बात कर रहे हैं. If you want to be relevant, I mean, I'm 68 right now, ठीक है? If I want to be relevant in this day and age, I must know what's happening in this day and age.
Yep.
So my grandson is my mentor.
Yes.
I mean, he's 17, 18. I go to him and I ask, I try to see the world from his eyes, and he shares with me things which are science fiction for me.
Yes.
But if I wasn't learning from him, God, I would be irrelevant in this day and age.
That's right.
You know, ये जो generation gap है वो इसलिए कि हमने छोटों को mentee नहीं बनाया, mentor नहीं बनाया. Sorry.
I think the trendy term for it is reverse mentoring.
Yes, yes.
And some of my mentors at the moment are my students from when I used to teach at LUMS.
Wow.
And they're excellent mentors. They have progressed, in their careers. They are very sensible, intelligent people, and I really love the opportunity of learning from them. And I think part of what you are saying, and obviously you have it in spades, but this mindset to always be open to learning.
Oh, absolutely.
And from the grandson to son to whoever is able to add value, आप सीखें.
और इसमें मैं एक बात जरूर कहूँगा कि आपने ट्रेनिंग का जो कहा ना कि it sometimes becomes a one-shot effort, the continuity doesn't remain, and the energy fades away, and it's forgotten.
Yes.
And then someone has a flash of an idea, and 2 years later, again, the whole thing starts.
Yes.
My goal has always been in training to trigger curiosity and love for learning. If I can do that in an hour, if I can do that in a day, no matter what program I'm running, whether it's communication skills or leadership or negotiation, conflict management, whatever, at the heart, my intent is that these guys who are listening to me and we are exchanging ideas, if they become hungry and thirsty for learning, I've achieved my goal, because then they don't need to call me, because today we have access to so much of learning.
Yes.
अभी हम बात कर रहे थे YouTube को देख लें, TED Talks हैं. I mean, so many free courses, MIT के, Harvard के, Coursera and Udemy. There's so much happening out there. We have no excuse today not to gain relevant knowledge and skills from the best in the world.
Yes. So one day I decided to do an immersive training session for myself. I wanted to learn about crypto and all of this stuff and blockchain technology. And I thought, okay, I could buy some books, I could go online. But I sat for 2 days in front of the computer and ChatGPT, and I had a conversation.
Wow.
Said, I would like to learn about this subject. Show me all the resources, show me the people who make a difference, show me the YouTube videos, and who are the leading voices in this area. And by the end of 2 days, I had learned quite a lot.
Wow.
Normally would have taken maybe weeks and weeks or attending classes or something, but I was able to immerse myself.
You're so right. You mentioned AI because we are now in that era. And Yuval Harari talks a lot about AI and its impact on the humanity.
Yes.
And what I loved about what he identified very distinctly was the fact that AI is not a tool.
Yes.
It's an agent. And that's a hell of a difference. Tool you can use at your convenience when. Agent is not someone you use, you actually work with.
Yes.
And it learns.
Yes.
Learns better than any human being can.
Yes, yes.
So, if we have this privilege, we must use AI to the max in order to free the time to do all the creative stuff, the intuitive stuff, the stuff that requires integrity.
Yes.
पहले तो बहाना था ना कि यार मैं बहुत बिजी था, काम कर रहा था, खोता काम था. लेकिन अब वो खोता काम आप दे दो AI को.
Exactly. That's how you're going to
And
secret.
now the question is, what do you do with the time you free up? That's a void at this point in time.
Yes.
And this is where ikigai comes in, purpose of life, mission, passion, and connection with family. Because आप देखें कितने घर हैं, कितनी families टूट गई हैं because there's no time for each other.
Yes, that's
And people
absolutely
are
true.
caught up in devices and God knows what.
लेकिन AI के बारे में जब बात करते हैं, one of the interesting things, and I think it's very relevant in Pakistan, is कि companies are madly running after the technology, but they seem to have forgotten the human aspect of AI, preparing the culture, preparing the organization, getting people ready to accept the change and implement it in their day-to-day work. They seem to think it's about technology, but it's still about people, ultimately.
Of course it is. And अगर आपको याद हो जब टाइपराइटर आया था तो कितना रेजिस्टेंस था,
Yes.
फिर डेस्कटॉप्स आए तो कितना हुआ, फिर ये जो हम बात करते हैं मैनेजमेंट इंफॉर्मेशन सिस्टम्स की और फिर
Yes.
इंटीग्रेशन एंड देन सैप एंड Oracle, you know, any of these new initiatives that came in history, there was massive resistance. Why? Because people didn't want to lose what they had. And I think AI के साथ भी यही है, except that it's on a more extreme level.
And it's much faster.
Much faster. Then things used to take years. Now we're
it's-
talking of weeks and months, literally.
Yes, the transformation. So let's talk a little bit, we've touched on this, let's talk a little bit about the younger generation from a learning and development perspective. These younger generation, they're obviously very different from us. They learn differently, their way of learning is different. How do you think as trainers, we can create an impact with this younger generation, Gen Z, for example?
I would honestly suggest listening, is the key. Gen Z has a different temperament. They were born in a different era, and Gen Alpha definitely even more so. So the first thing we need to do is to listen, to understand, to see where they're coming from and not lecture them. That's the last thing. And sure enough, and not to boast yourself of age. The time has gone when age and respect and hierarchy used to work. It doesn't work anymore. It's your ideas, it's what you do, and it's how you deliver. And if you are interacting with a Gen Z, interact at an equal plane and speak in terms of co-learning as opposed to, I have 20 years of experience and I shall teach you.
Yes.
No, that attitude will alienate you. And I think if you befriend them and you listen to them and agree on certain norms and principles, they're as reasonable as any. It's just that we treat them as we treated our kids when we were whatever age we were.
Yes, I think that is the mindset and the approach required is very different. And
By the way, my best friends are in the age group of 20 to 30. ये जो
really?
बुड्ढे हैं ना, इनसे मेरी नहीं चलती.
I agree. Actually, some of my friends are.
And I don't see you as a Buddha from anywhere.
Thank you. So I have some friends who are like five plus years old, and they are really like the amount of pleasure I get from interacting with them is great. Let's talk about something quite interesting. Everyone in learning and development talks about continuous learning, lifelong learning, having a mindset, etc. But since you work with, I'm sure, thousands of professionals by now, we've talked about starting in the 90s till now, what separates people who grow rapidly from those who remain stuck? What is something that you've identified?
Number one is self-awareness. That's the first and foremost thing, because I've discovered that there is this delusion when you ask the question, do you know yourself? आप अपने आप को जानते हैं? So auto responses, of course.
Yes.
Now that is the height of ignorance. And if you do a statistical analysis, how many of you in this hall can claim that you know yourself? See how many people raise their hands. 50 to 80%, depending on where you are. That's one reason, because self-awareness is not the focus. Okay. And there's the smugness कि मुझे पता है जो मैं कर रहा हूँ, because we are functioning, right? And this comfort zone is a trap. And the more comfortable we become, it's like in our mother's womb, if you remember, I remember, I used to swim there and I used to
I don't remember
kick around. Oh, I remember. And then I came out crying, and I cried because, hey, now I have to talk, I have to use my hands, I have to chew my, food. No. So this life that we have today, we came out of the womb and we were looking for a womb. Yes. And what is that womb? Where I get a fixed salary, where all my needs are taken care of. I can pay the bills. I can, school fees, वगैरह. And now subah, sham, subah, and that's where you're not growing. Those who are in the mode of discovery and saying that, whatever I'm doing, I can do better, and not settling for less, are the ones who are progressing.
But the interesting thing I find about self-awareness is that a lot of the roots of such things are contained in our own spiritual teachings and so on. Self-discovery, हमारे जो थे शायर, Allama Iqbal, Bulle Shah, they're talking about finding yourself, learning about yourself, etc. And yet we seem to have forgotten. It is still, and when we go and teach this in a workshop, people pay more attention when we talk about Daniel Goleman's emotional intelligence or something like that. But agar Bulle Shah ki baat kare, to people are not so willing to listen. Why is that?
Because it's not been translated in a palatable fashion. Because the classical literature is very dense, and obviously it takes effort. And who's going to go into the mountain and dig for gold? I'd rather go to a jewelry shop, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
What I came across, again on YouTube, and it's not just YouTube, but any platform which allows you for learning, Ibn Sina's 7 levels of nafs. There's a 25-minute talk. I was attempting to read a book about 10 years ago, and I went to sleep. It was a struggle because there was a lot of semantics, and I couldn't sort out soul, spirit, the superego, id. All of this was confusing. But this talk, 25 minutes, crystal clear, level 1, level 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So I would urge people to just search 7 levels of nafs and take it from there. It's eye-opening. And of course, in simple English, there's a AAA methodology of self-awareness, which is what are your attitudes and where were they formed? What are your attributes? How many do you have? And how many have you deployed? And what is your aptitude? I mean, look, I was not born to be a banker. That's why I'm not in banking.
Yes.
When your heart and head are aligned, it means you're doing what your aptitude was meant to be. Not everyone can be a great nurse. Not everyone can be a mountain climber of the kind that we know.
Yes.
So, सवाल ये है कि aptitude के बारे में दरियाफ्त करना, attitude समझना, and it's coming from our childhood, by the way.
Yes.
And attributes that we've been gifted with.
Yes.
And if we are not even conscious of that, if we are not even deep diving, I mean, we hear that everyone's potential is infinite. Why is our life so finite? Why are we boxed in?
Very good question.
But no one says that potential is not infinite. Everyone says that it is. Then what are you doing about it? That's one.
Yes.
And then we all, the Muslims, हम जो मुसलमान हैं, हम कहते हैं ना एहसन तकवीम, the best creation of God. यार चल के दिखाओ, बोल के दिखाओ, करके दिखाओ, best creation of God तो कह दिया. लेकिन इस पे ठंड क्यों पड़ गई? Why don't you make it a responsibility to discover why God said that you're the best?
Fascinating.
It's just, we're so chill about it.
Yes, and one thing as we get older,
Yeah.
we don't have as much time as we did when we were 20 or 30.
True.
So we really need to find the answers to these questions.
And unless you are curious, you won't get there.
Right. As we're getting to the end of the podcast, I want to ask you a couple of serious questions. You've worked in this industry for a long time. You've contributed very well to Pakistan and the development of professionals within the country and so on. But what impact do you think you've had if you had to reflect on your time?
I would say that drop in the ocean would be a fair assessment of the impact. However, that drop is nuclear. And there is a chain reaction. And there is exponential change as well. And I have a feeling that in Pakistan, for example, there are, I would say, at least 50,000 seeds that have been sown of optimism, of vision, of responsibility, of awareness, of connection with human beings and stuff like that. And these people, when I meet them by chance or through a planned activity, they are doing such phenomenal work that you can see वो कहते हैं ना कोम्पले निकल रही हैं.
Wow.
Complain. And jaga. And I think it will take about a century or two for the garden and the forest to manifest, the forest of possibilities and the kind of vision that we all have for the world.
Yes.
But it's going to take time.
It takes time, sure.
And this reminds me of that Chinese proverb, yeah? I mean, you know, when you plan for a year, you grow rice. When you plan for decades, you grow trees. And when you plan for centuries, you grow people. And I think we've planted those seeds, and some are becoming visible and others will in due course of time. And not everyone learns. You know that, and I know that.
Yes. No, thank you for sharing that. As you know, Pakistan is full of young people, and half of our population is under the age of 30. And some of them are struggling. The last few years have been a bit tough. What is one piece of advice you can offer the younger generation that would be watching this episode?
Remember, when faced with threats, threats are proof of opportunity, equal amount. Never be blinded by half-truths. So if you are faced by massive threats, remember there are massive opportunities on the other side. So when the night is dark, remember the day will be bright. So balance is what you need to strike. So don't get lost when things are good. Don't think that you've arrived, because they can be denied. And when things are bad, don't think it's the end of the world.
Yes.
Things will get better. So by balancing, you'll always be in a state of creativity, curiosity, and at the same time, you will not get carried away by emotions. So be clear on your purpose and stay balanced. And remember, the whole truth is what works. Half-truths are dangerous.
Kamran, thank you very much. Absolute pleasure once again to reconnect with you and for the wonderful conversation we've had.
It's been equally delightful to be interacting with you, and you have an amazing knack for getting people to talk. I didn't even think of the stuff that I've shared with you just now.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Kamran Rizvi, and we will see you in the next episode of The Boss. Thank you for joining us.